Hello and welcome to Live Vedanta, a podcast about simple living and high thinking. On this season of Live Vedanta, we're diving into the 70 essential verses of the Shrimad Bhagavad Gita. In this episode, we're focusing on essential verse 11, or chapter 4, verse 8. In this verse, we focus on the theme of deservershiplessness, as Shri Krishna shares that the divine manifests not through birth, but as needed, to protect the virtuous, correct the vicious, and restore righteousness. By being available to divinity, just as divinity is available to us, we align with the timeless tradition of teachers and students.
It is not fair for me to say, but I'm going to say it anyways. I feel that chapter 4 is the most important chapter of Bhagavad Gita, especially in reference to Sanatana Dharma. Everyone who's listening to my words, I feel it's your responsibility to know this chapter well. The way it's your responsibility to drive well, it's your responsibility to be healthy. This chapter, every verse is your responsibility. This verse begins with Prince Arjuna questioning Shri Krishna, saying, we're the same age. What gives you the audacity to share that you are the originator of knowledge? You are the originator of these teachings. Shri Krishna explains, I'm not your cousin. And a further insight from this is, from these verses, we come to understand and appreciate parambara, how the divine is the originator of this tradition of students who become teachers, students who become teachers, students who become teachers. I implore everyone here, if you want to be serious about Sanatana Dharma or infinite nature, do so with a guide who's part of a parampara. If you are with a guide who's not part of a parampara, it's as if they are the originator of that knowledge, when in this context it's Shri Krishna or divinity. Then we fast forward to verse 7, even though this is not, I'm not choosing this as one of the most important verses, but I am going to chant verse 7. It is popular. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmam srajamyaham tadatmanam srajamyaham. I'm reading the translation. Whenever there is a decay of righteousness, O Bharata, and a rise of unrighteousness, then I manifest myself. How many of you have come across this verse before? I see this verse a lot on windows and on wood in mandirs. It's there, but the actual feeling of this verse, I don't know if it's there. In this, the insight is that Shri Krishna is not born. Yesterday, I was telling our kids, we were driving in the area where they were born. I said, you were both born in this hospital in the same room with the same people. Obviously the same parents, but I mean the same midwives also. My children were born. I was born. Shri Krishna is not born. Srajami doesn't mean born or descended. It means manifests. Manifests. Another word for this is appears. Appears. And the implication of this is divinity, or Shri Krishna, is present in these particular contexts. He becomes manifest. He appears. If this is abstract, Batman is ever present, but when the bat signal is shown, that's when Batman comes out, correct? So when we need divinity, that's when divinity manifests. Now the verse we are taking up as one of the four of chapter 4 is verse 8. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samstapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Joy. Why does divinity manifest or appear, in this case as Shri Krishna? Paritranaya sadhunam, to protect sadhus, those who are inclusive. Vinashaya cha dushkritam, to correct those who are vicious, those who are exclusive. To protect the virtuous and correct the vicious. When we think about destruction and killing, it is of the vice, not the vicious. That's why a better word is correct. Then it applies to us, correct? I'm desirous, I'm angry, I need Shri Krishna. And lots more is shared, which I will explain tomorrow. The hard reflection I want you to feel from this verse is, Shri Krishna is ever available. Are you? If you are available, you will feel that he is manifest. You will see that he has appeared. I already challenged all of you to have the faith that you are hearing his voice. If these are not your feelings, I'm going to call out, maybe you're not available. Like when you call someone and they don't pick up, it's because they're not available, correct? But if you don't call, how do you even know if they're available? And I had taught Hinduism 101 on Monday nights. How many of you were part of this? It was the summer of 2020. A lot of what I shared in Hinduism 101 was derived from Bhagavad Gita's chapter 4. It is that important. And when we went verse by verse, I had shared with you, if you ask Pujaswami Tejomayananda what his favorite chapter is, he won't tell you. But it is chapter 4. And the reason for that, this is the first chapter that he heard from Pujaswami Chinmayananda. This chapter begins where Shri Krishna's sharing insights into a parambara, a tradition of divinity through teachers and students. If one is not part of a parambara, technically, that would look like them not being able to access divinity. Isn't that what you want to reach? Then you have to revolve around those who have access, the trajectory for this. The next significant thought that is shared is about avatara. Say it back to me. Avatara. Now say it wrongly. Avatar. Now say it rightly. Avatara. This comes from the verb avatarati, which means to descend. But I had shared in English, a more accurate definition is to manifest, to appear. The setup for this train of thought is in verse 7. In verse 7, Shri Krishna shares the vision of avatara in general. It is verse 8 That is one of our 4 verses in this chapter, where the vision of Avatara is shared in specifics. Divinity is in the details. In the first quarter, why does divinity take on a specific quality, form, and name? Paritranaya sadhuna. A sadhu is one who is living for uniting, bringing more and more and more people together. Shri Krishna manifests to protect them. In Sanskrit, the word for this would be anugraha. He manifests to protect these sadhus, offering more. A sadhu, or someone who is living for uniting, is able to tend to micro-compromise in society. If there is compromise in society, but it's on a low scale, a sadhu can reconcile that. Like a Puja Swami Vivekananda or a Puja Swami Chinmayananda. The second quarter, Vinashaya cha dushkritam, dushkrita, one who is engaged in viciousness. It is those who are living not for uniting, but rather for separating. More and more and more. In America, the word polarizing is used a lot. Yes? Many share America is more polarized now than even when Martin Luther King Jr. was alive, which is shocking. Divinity becomes Shri Krishna to correct these dushkritas. In Sanskrit, the word is nigraha, to correct them. A avatara is needed when society compromises in a macro scale, in a high way. That is where Puja Swami Vivekananda, Puja Swami Chinmayananda have tried, but they can't help. So then a Sri Rama is needed. A Shri Krishna is needed. Third quarter, Dharma Samstapanarthaya. Their purpose is to restore, rebalance Dharma. Now I want to qualify this arthaya or purpose. In Shrimad Bhagavatam, the reason for divinity becoming Shri Krishna is stated, and it's not to restore balance. It is just to bless. It's almost like no purpose, just coming to be, but by being, Shri Krishna is blessing. Puja Swami Tejomayananda shared with us, we have these very grand imaginations and visualizations of an avatara. Like right now, imagine the room you're sitting in, if Shri Krishna came into your room with his discus, with his lotus, his dark blue skin, what would you do? You're going to say you would fall at his feet. I think you'd run the other way. And so what Guruji had shared, it is people who study Gita and follow Gita, they are the avatars. They are the ones at a grassroots level are restoring balance inside and outside. And that's why I'd cautioned so many in this community who engage in seva. Before you serve, you have to engage in sadhana. You have to study so that your actions are infused with the right intentions. Last quarter, Sambhavami yuge yuge, this is not a one-time deal. Every time there is macro compromise, divinity will manifest again and again and again. So it feels like divinity's coming any day now, any hour now, maybe on November 2nd. Divinity will come when we need this the most. Now, the implication of this is, if you are busy, that's equivalent to not being available. Even if divinity is available, but you're not available, you won't be able to see and feel this manifestation.
If you've enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend. You can follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and of course on the Simplecast browser. This whole season of Essential Love is accompanied by an ebook by the same name. You can check out our show notes about how you can download the Essential Love ebook, which includes tools for deeper reflection on each of the verses. They go hand in hand. You can find all of this and more at chinmayaniagara.com. Until next time, inspire, love, be.